In Asayama Shinryu's online lessons, a club leader is someone who has earned 3rd dan or higher, joined at least one training camp, and passed an interview to become a semi-instructor. In March 2025, during a dan promotion exam, 4 people passed 3rd dan and were approved by Seki Sensei to become new club leaders. In this video, we'll be interviewing 3 of them. If you're thinking about starting Budo, or you've just begun training in Asayama Shinryu, you'll find lots of helpful advice from these experienced students. And at the end of the video, there's an important message from Seki Sensei to all students of Asayama Shinryu, so be sure to watch until the end. Now let's ask Seki Sensei about his impressions of each club leader. Let's start with club leader Michael.
まあ好青年だよね。そうそうマイアミでもね、休憩のたんびにエスプレッソいただいてだいぶ助かりました。すごくね優秀な人なんですけどね、技的にはね。ただおっちょこちょいなんでね、気をつけて。そう。
Michael is always smiling and cheerful. He brings a bright, positive energy to the entire dojo. And he's not tall, but he regularly trains with a nyaito that's almost 2.8 shaku long. His dedication and the skill he's built through that effort are truly amazing. Next, let's talk about club leader Josh.
陽気なような感じもしますけど、陰で一生懸命やってるタイプかな。人が見てないとこで一生懸命やってるタイプだなとは思いますね。一回教えるとね、次までに変わってるんだよね、彼。
さすがですね。
ただそれによって余計変なになってるとこもあるんで、それをねレッスンでそうそう。
Josh is always someone who really takes care of others. He always takes the lead to keep harmony in the dojo. And when it comes to training, he might be one of the most hardworking people we have. His commitment is truly impressive. And lastly, club leader Kristen.
まあ彼女も真面目だよね。すごく真面目だと思う。真面目さが技に良くも悪くも出るので、真面目だからきちっとできる。でも真面目だからこうなんていうのかな。一年中っぽくない時もあるっていう、表紙を飛ばすとか、そういうのがうまくできないかなまだね、しっかり順序よく使っちゃってるんでね、そうそうそう。だからそれはでもねやっぱ経験なんで、遊んでるような気持ちが持てるようになると技はもっと柔らかくなるんですね。
Kristen joined us very soon after our online lessons began. Since then, she's taken part in every lesson Seki Sensei has offered, and she's hardly ever missed a class. It's not confirmed, but she might be the very first female instructor in Asayama Shinryu's 400-year history. Then, let's finally move on to the interview. The first question of the 6 is, why did you start training in Asayama Shinryu?
Well, I found Asayama Ichiden Ryu via you. Through an activity that you ran in Kyoto, because I had asked you, I was like, is there any opportunities to study, Budo online? And you were like, well, hold up, I'm working on something. And I think this was in probably late February of 2022. So just before the online lesson started. So I saw your post on YouTube that you were starting the online lessons, and I immediately joined. I saw Seki Sensei through your video, and I fell in love immediately with the throw draw and how Seki Sensei was so practical in everything he taught, and everything had a meaning. So that touched my heart, and so that's why I wanted to start and train Asayama Ichiden.
Well, kind of paraphrase and summarize. I was looking around. I think this story, part of the story, is common and shared among a lot of us that I've talked to. But for about 20 years, I was looking around for something, martial arts style. Like back in the day when I was a kid, I did a little bit of kenjutsu just for a couple months, like I mentioned. And I didn't really know what it was because it's always been in the samurai movies and movies with like old knights and swords and castles and things. But didn't really know that was kind of, the real way to do it. And I moved away for school and kept kind of looking around every couple of years. I'd be like, I really missed that. I want to find something. There's nothing that came close until you and Seki Sensei showed up on my YouTube feed one day. So got a really good vibe from Seki Sensei. Immediately trusted him. Like you just get that feeling, When he kind of showed the drawing and sheathing, I was like, that makes too much sense. Throughout past experiences and dabbling with a bunch of stuff, I kind of think I have a pretty good idea about like like the mechanics of things and motions, how to make things work a little bit. And that just kind of spoke to me when he just kind of showed the crab pinch and with his, keeping your hands away from the wakizashi handle and just drawing with the left hand. It just made so much sense. I was like, that seems genuine. He seems genuine, and you seem genuine, and you seemed very excited to be there at that seminar from that first video. So I just started following, and as soon as I saw that, I just started watching your videos. And you're doing Iaido and stuff like that. I'm like, wow, this guy's really good too. So these people know what they're talking about. And then you announced the lessons. It just all kind of happened. Kind of took it as a little bit of a sign, and then I gave the lessons a shot, and I just couldn't stop training. I've been training nearly every day since, unless there's been a really good reason not to.
When I first came across Asayama Ichiden Ryu, that was with a video of yours, and I saw Seki Sensei performing the Batokiho. That was an instant of like resonance. I looked at it and I thought, that's it. Yeah, that's mine. I belong there. So that was a very intuitive decision. And I remember I saw this video and I searched like a piece of paper and I was writing down the name of the Ryoha, Asayama Ichiden Ryu, to find to be able to find it on the internet if I lose it like this video. That was so. Lately I found it when I was doing some research on my desk. That I found this little piece of paper. Yes, I wrote it down the name, and so it was like intuition. But of course, I later then the brain starts. Wondering why does it have to be this one? What's the reason? Yeah, what is the real reason? And I think there's two main things. It's the tradition, it's the art itself. It's like the techniques themselves. They are so beautiful, so effortless, and so very effective. Really scaringly effective. And so this is the main reason you have to like the art. To practice, that's and this is really amazing thing. And the other important thing is you have to like the teacher. You have to trust the teacher. So this is the two main reasons. After listening to Seki Sensei and your interviews and what he, especially what he was when he told stories about his own teacher, Seki Sensei. Yeah, and you could feel like the love and devotion he has to his own teacher. And then I said, okay, that's one. He will be a very good teacher.
The second question is, how has training Asayama Ichiden Ryu changed you?
It's changed me fundamentally for the better. I was someone who trained when I was younger, various different martial arts and sword fighting, both European and Japanese. So I had been studying it ever since I was a child. So I had done fencing with a rapier and all that kind of stuff, kind of American style. And I always loved samurai and the history and Japan and everything like that. And so when the online lessons came about and I learned about Seki Sensei, how these techniques were actually preserved from the era of samurai. They're not new Budo, they are like kobudo. And so that to me spoke to me so much more, because these are tried and true tested techniques that actually lasted throughout the years. And so to be a part of that history, it made me want to try further. And so every day I set aside time to train, and it's helped me with my mind as far as focus and getting healthier and training my body as well as my mind. So it's been overall a wonderful experience.
That's right. Asayama Ichiden Ryu has a history of over 400 years. So it's very, very long. I often talk about this when I introduce Asayama Ichiden Ryu to someone, but the Edo period, the very famous samurai era, the last one that basically created all of the Japanese traditional culture, or preserved and evolved all of Japanese traditional culture we know of today, lasted for 265 years. And the shogunate was the same family, the Tokugawa family, but even they only lasted for 15 generations. Our headmaster is the 22nd headmaster, so much longer than that, the Edo period that everyone studies about, this one ryuha has a longer history than that. So I'm always really surprised, overwhelming
It's
sometimes.
kind of mind blowing that
exactly.
it was preserved and for that long of a period, and all these records are there. So it's fascinating.
Exactly.
There's so many answers to these questions still. I like to think myself as mostly a patient person in most things, and dealing with other people, training with people, all that kind of stuff. But never really been that patient with myself. A lot of times I'll pick up on stuff rather quickly. I was taking shakuhachi lessons a couple years back, probably about a year before we joined it. I haven't done it since, but want to get back into it. But my teacher was like, I was starting to correct notes. Like I was just kind of following along and I didn't know any songs, but then I would just adjust and like match the note. And he's like, did you mean to do that? I'm like, do what? And he's like, you just kind of fixed it. I'm like, I don't know, it just sort of happened. He's like, wow, that's really rare. And then I got a little pressure, but like that kind of happens a lot. But when it comes time to like put more effort, there's like that, there's that thing where if something comes easy to you, you don't really have to try to work hard at it. And then suddenly when you get to the level where you do have to work hard, there's always that, I guess, like not really a reward equation that our brain does, but it's like, this might take more time than I thought. Should I continue with this? Like you got to stop and kind of think. And a lot of times I just won't continue with stuff because it's like, well, it's been fun. I don't have the time, or I'm choosing to spend time on other things. But training this has it's really helped me like slow down and evaluate things. Like I don't see it as like a grind, even though there's a lot of training to do and we're going to be doing the basics for the rest of our lives. But I don't see it as a grind. I just see each step as like just a bit of polish, a little bit more polish. And really hasn't been one instant where, I mean, obviously there's been plenty of plateaus, like, you get a little better and then you're like kind of stuck for a while. And there's been a lot of work that I put into it, but never once have I been, is this worth it? That equation hasn't ever come into play, which is really rare. Otherwise, we get bogged down with things in life and, current societies, the day-to-day, it's just all busy and go. I mean, that more than anybody. It's been a really long time where without me forcing it, trying to find something that's just been like, there's a process, you trust the process, you follow the basics, and just results are going to come. And this has made me more patient with myself. It's made me more able to deal with, I wouldn't say setbacks, but like, we learn a new kata and it's difficult. And sometimes you kind of get a feel for it. Sometimes you don't, but it's made me able to stop and kind of reflect inside and say, why can't I pull this off? And then you kind of think about it and you kind of come up with a plan. And usually I'm just sort of like, maybe you're like me, others might be like me, you're not patient enough with yourself. Like if there's other people, that's fine. You're going to help them get there. But if it's you, you're like, you're too slow. You're not good enough. And this is just mowed right past that. So I don't know if it's a mix of patience and confidence and perception skills, just potential really. And I haven't felt anything like that. So I think all of us who just kind of got that good feeling right away and early on and just said, this is it. This is my home now. This is my family. I think we're all very glad we made that decision. So
I really think it's due to Asayama Ichiden having such an amazing curriculum for the students to train in, having a very perfect method, train the basics, even on your own with a partner, both for yaijutsu, both for kenjutsu. There's these basics, step-by-step curriculum to learn the skills. But at the same time, though, all the advanced techniques are so deep and difficult, So you can really, the steps are really clear, and it's also a very, very long way to go. So constantly kind of, it's like Asayama Ichiden really holds your hand for you, because it really leads you have to come in this direction. Yeah. And if you do, it's going to be a long way, but you are going to get there someday.
Yep.
You see the process, how you get there. Yeah, it's long and it's difficult, but you can see it. And that is, I really feel how Asayama Ichiden is really, in a way, very kind to its students. That makes sense. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm not sure if it really changed who I am. I don't think so. I think it just brought out or helped me develop some qualities that were already within myself. Yeah, I think this is what it did to me. I think there's at least 2 or 3 main things that helped me a lot in life. I think this doesn't only apply to Ichiden Ryu, it applies to Budo in general. The one thing that really made my life easier is this concept of what you would call zanshin. You know Zenshin, because I'm a medical doctor. I have to see a lot of patients the whole day, one after the other. In the past, I was stressed a bit when I had a lot of people. Yeah, I got really stressed from the beginning, and I changed that because I stopped worrying about the one before, and I stopped worrying about the one next. I just thought, okay, the most important person is the one sitting in front of me. And it will stay the most important person until he leaves my room. Yeah. And that makes my life a lot, because I can really focus on that one and I rest. My focus is staying there, and I can really listen and try to find out what he wants me to do. So this is really nice. Yeah. Because I stopped looking at my list getting longer and longer. And worrying if I will ever manage to see all these people. It's just the one in front of me, and this is very nice. And this is like when you have an opponent in kenjutsu or something, you're focused on that one, yeah, and not on anything else. And also, what is a nice thing that you learn in Budo maybe is to say no in a very respectful way. You know what I mean? You keep you can say no, I won't do this, without being impolite, or you can say no respectfully. This is so that everyone understands. This is something you learn in Budo as well. Yeah, I think the third very important aspect is also about responsibility. I mean, this maybe that sounds very normal or guaranteed, but it is not. And because you're always responsible for what you do, no matter how you feel or if you're tired or something, because it's the same when you have a weapon in your hand, you can't do something stupid, you have the responsibility. Yeah. And this is something you can really carry on in your daily life.
The third question is, how would you recommend Asayama Ichiden to someone who is deciding on a dojo?
Well, you get no better sensei than Seki Sensei, hands down. And,
So true.
I'm not just saying that because I'm a student, but Seki Sensei just has such a way to teach us. It's almost like a loving father teaches their children, right? He looks out for you. And even though you're meeting via a screen, I'm fortunate enough to have gone to the training camp and met him in person and everything like that. But you may think of a sensei as someone who's rigid and harsh and that kind of thing. And Seki Sensei he's very much dedicated to preserving what Asayama Ichiden is, and he's very good about instructing you in gentle ways, so that you learn gradually, because it's one of these things that's kind of difficult to grasp if you've never had any experience before. But Seki Sensei teaches it in such a way that you can't help but learn. It's kind of amazing, and asking for feedback, you don't get this sense of dread when you're speaking with him, because he only wants to improve you. I always ask for feedback, and I'm always got to work on something.
Yes.
I'll never do it perfect. Seki Sensei just has a way of showing you exactly where you need to work on it, and because of that, you get better so much faster. He never makes you feel bad for making a mistake, and I think that's really important, because you have to be really involved with your sensei. And I think one of the most important things in choosing a Ryuha to study from is, finding that love for your sensei.
I mean, that's what Seki himself said in one of the videos, right? So because, you really have to have all the communication with your sensei to get better, to become a family in the community, you need to have a good sensei to start with. Not just, even if that sensei is really talented in skills of Budo, personality-wise, these are all really important too, right? What kind of person your sensei is. And considering all of these things too, I personally, of course, believe that Seki Sensei is absolutely the best. I totally agree with you. What I think is amazing about Seki Sensei, to add to what you just said, is that he's just so pure. His passion, his seriousness is completely towards Budo and to preserving Asayama Shinryu and fulfilling his promises with his father and the 21st headmaster, Seki Sensei. And he doesn't have any unneeded arrogance, zero, no ego, nothing at all. So sometimes Seki Sensei is strict, but when he is, though, it's purely because he wants you to get better. Nothing else. There's nothing else, no other intentions. So I think really, I personally, I don't know if he's happy if I say this, but I really feel that deep down, he's just like a young boy, like in the past, just loving Budo, and he loves everything that he does, even though he's now in his 50s. I think his soul, his heart has been the same, since he was young when he met Budo and was like, oh, this is so much fun. I think it hasn't changed at all. So that's something I really love about training with Seki Sensei myself too.
Building on some of that stuff, one of the popular phrases today is you got to know your why. So why are you looking to train something? Is it just to look cool? Is it to exercise or just have fun as a hobby? There's all sorts of reasons, and they're all probably valid in their own way. If you want something that's meaningful beyond those short-term little gains, something that's, I guess it's withstood the test of time for, 400 some odd years. If you want something to just remember the past, kind of have a link back to what they might have actually done or how they actually trained, not forget traditions like that, or just to be brought in, because I don't know a lot of those traditions hardly at all. And, Seki Sensei will tell us a few. But if you want to be connected to something like that, that's more than just a lesson a week and then that's about all you do after school or something. If you want something that's something you could see doing the rest of your life and enjoying it and actually being connected to something genuine, I'd say that's another reason to choose Asayama Ryu.
Just like Sensei explained to us before, kobudo is about that too. It's not just about learning techniques and getting used to handling the tools and such, but it's also about carrying on the traditions. There's certain things that we can only feel or learn through the things that's been carried down for such a long time. What the people in the past could have felt or thought or did. Yeah, and there's things, the inspirations, the feelings and all that kind of stuff that can only be felt through, kobudo and traditional culture, I think, is something that Asayama Shinryu has been carrying on. And now we are one of the ones responsible for carrying this down to next iteration too, but...
Yeah, I think this is a bit the same thing that I applied when I decided to train Asayama Ryu. You have to take a look if you like the techniques, if you like the ruha, what the movement, and you have to like the teacher, and you have to like your fellow students as well. I think the whole atmosphere and the whole club plays a huge role in if you want to stay somewhere. Yeah, because there will also be like a lot of challenges, a lot of difficulties. It's not always that easy, and it's so nice to have people you can trust, you can talk to. You can, how did you do this, and can you help me there? And this is what's happening in our online dojo, even. Yeah, I have been very skeptical concerning online lessons because I'm old-fashioned. I like to go somewhere in person and train, and I think that was a huge surprise for me that this is going so well. And this is also due to you and your
thank you.
And your also your atmosphere you're creating, and of course it's due to the senseis who are very dedicated and also very nice, but very serious.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. And it's a good mixture because there's also a possibility. For me, I haven't said that. For me, it was also the possibility I knew I could come to Japan one time to meet the senseis in person and to train there in person. So that was also something I really wanted to do all my life, and that was the possibility to do it.
That's amazing. Awesome.
Yeah, so it's also nice, yeah. Because if you go to a foreign country and want to train Budo, you have to know where to go. Yeah, you have to.
That's right, that is right. By the way, tickets for the 3-day training camp in Japan held by Seki Sensei and Lassa Shogo are now on sale. Check out our Patreon page for more information. The fourth question is, what advice would you give new online lesson students of Asayama Shinryu?
I would say focus on the basics. Focus really on the basics and getting the basics down, and you don't have to do everything all at once. It's going to take a while for you to absorb it. And, I'm still absorbing the basics, and so just be patient with yourself. Review the archives that you've, wonderfully provided. Now we have 2+ years of archive videos. So, any technique that you're interested in looking at, or you can go back to those archives and dig deep into that. The other thing I would say is that rely on taking videos of yourself and then comparing them directly to sensei. If you think you're doing a technique properly, more than likely you're not. So and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's how we all learn. And so taking the video of yourself and being, looking at the details, because especially in Asayama Ichiden, the details matter. And so things like the crab pinch and, using your left arm more than your right, just guiding with the right arm pretty much. All these little details are so opposite of what traditional Budo teaches you that you may think that you're doing this, but after you videotape yourself and you reflect on it, you're just like, oh, okay, I'm not doing this. The other thing is that now that we have club leaders, I would say reach out to a club leader, have the club leader check you, and have them work with you, because we're doing these club training sessions throughout the week, and so those are great opportunities for new students to really help hone those basics, and that will help you so much further down the line. Because once you grasp the basics, then you can apply those to all the other techniques. Because the basics are pretty much our fundamentals. And until you really get those, moving on is almost putting the cart before the horse, right? So it's one of those things where you may think that, oh, this is repetitive and everything like that, but really honing those basics are what allow you to learn the other techniques faster and more accurately. And just be patient with yourself. It's going to take you a while to grasp these things. These things, most people don't normally use their hips that often. A lot of the things in Asayama Ichiden are kind of strange compared to what people have in their minds typically. Being able to be patient with yourself and understanding that little by little you'll get it. It's just practice and effort, and a little bit of practice a day does a great deal for you. Even if it's a few minutes, just swinging and practicing, the bato kihon or anything like that. Those are the fundamentals that will pay you dividends in the future.
If it's just one piece of advice, I would just say get used to sitting back and watching. Don't jump in too fast, because like you've told me, you can learn more by watching than you think. Like, it's a very valid form of education in this respect, because you're not going to catch all the details. If you try to practice while someone's demonstrating, you're going to miss half of it. I do that all the time still. But I would just say Rome wasn't built in a day. It takes time. Watch Seki Sensei, ask questions. I don't want to just be cliche and say focus on the basics, but just listen to Seki Sensei and stick with it, and you will have results.
One of the things that Seki Sensei has told me before, when it was during the filming or at some point, but one of the things he said that he was very grateful when he was training in Musou Shindendyu before he started training Asayama Shindendyu is that when he was training in Iaido, when they would do the katas, he would have his senpais or the instructor, maybe his father, do the kata in front of him. So you move together in sync like a mirror. By doing that, moving together with your senpais or your senseis, your ma, the timing to do the katas and such will basically be closer to the correct ma and timing. Yeah. So that's the reason why I talked a little bit about you really have to watch, because the katas and the techniques that we learn in Asayama Shindendyu is not just about, okay, we draw the katana up, we swing it down, we move back. No, it's not just about that, but there's also a lot of things that are not explained with words, things that you have to feel and understand. And to do that, you really have to continue watching. You really need to be able to breathe almost together with your sensei and understand the rhythm of what Asayama Shindendyu is about. So that's why I really thought that watching is important because of what Seki Sensei taught me before.
I think what is very important, or what was very important for me and also challenging, is once you feel that you can trust your senseis, it's a good idea to stop hiding and show yourself. I mean, not like showing off or something, but show who you are, and with all your flaws and all your mistakes and all your misunderstandings. So this is a difficult part, isn't it? To show yourself as you are. Well, this is really necessary because otherwise you won't be able to get better. And well, the sensei will see anything anyway.
True. Yeah. Exactly. Sensei has very good eyes. So he notices. Yes, that's right. Right.
I think sometimes oh, he knows what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Even through a screen. I mean, that is something that he talked about in one of our videos on Last Ask Seki Sensei, where we discussed about why you shouldn't practice on your own. When you show your flaws, when you show your mistakes, that's when Seki Sensei mentioned at the end of the video, but that's the time when you finally become family. And that's the timing when Seki Sensei can also become much more serious towards teaching you because you are opening towards him and he'll be much more open to you too. Yeah, and I really think, just like you said, it's really important that even though it's a bit embarrassing, and of course you don't want to be pointed out, but yeah.
It is not only embarrassing once, it stays a challenge. Yeah, it stays a challenge.
The fifth question is, what are your future goals as an Asayama Ichiden trainee?
Well, my ultimate goal is to reach 5th Dan and eventually open my own branch here in the United States. So currently I live in Florida, so as of right now, but wherever I live during that, when I achieve that, I would like to open a branch there. That's probably my ultimate goal. We're doing the advanced class right now, the higher Dan rank class. And so, we're learning all that, and it's a pretty high ceiling, but I'm going to continue my efforts and practice. And I want to faithfully continue teaching Asayama Ichiden as it has been passed down. So I'm dedicating myself to focusing on that and making that a fruition. I want to help the Ryuha build up to the golden age. So I want to help bring the 7,000 students into Asayama Ichiden.
Do you think that'd be a lot of people who'd be interested in training in kobudo in your area, by the way?
Currently, yes, because right now I live in Gainesville, Florida. So we have the University of Florida here.
That's right.
And so now that I'm becoming a club leader, eventually I would like to reach out to, the Japanese clubs over there. And I'm sure, because we don't have any Iaido schools here in Gainesville at all. Okay. So no Iaido. I think there might be a kendo school, but really nothing else. And so I think a kobudo school, Asayama Ichiden, would do really well here, especially because it's a university town, and there's plenty of people who are interested.
Some of it's inspiration from you in your recent chats and directions on your podcast. But I'd really just love to bring a spot where people can just unplug and reconnect without the screens and the technology, just to get back to that human connection. It's something I think we all need, and it's kind of difficult to get to today because, I live thousands of miles away from family. My closest friend is a 4-hour drive away, real close friend. I mean, people we can hang out with, but we can kind of still communicate because there's, the internet and cameras and screens and stuff. But it's not ideal. But yeah, getting to the point where if we're allowed to open a dojo and being able to build a community where people can kind of come, leave the everyday life, baggage at the door and just come in and just train, find some honest truth of some sort, just something that they can cling to, something they can strive mastery towards. And I think that would give me quite a bit of purpose. The way some things are in society now, it's just, sometimes you're just stuck in survival mode and there's not really a reason beyond survival, but I think this would be a really good reason to put forth that effort. So if that equation does come into my mind where, is this worth the effort? I definitely think that would be a good path to go to. So yeah, just being able to share, like I've mentioned before once, just a fraction of what Seki Sensei has kind of given to us and shown us. If I could somehow channel a little bit of that and bring more people together, show them the style, and then introduce them to Seki Sensei. Somehow that would be great. So I think that's probably the end goal, being as helpful to the senseis as possible. I know you said he's the one that's going to be carrying the heaviest bag, but if I'm ever allowed or have the opportunity to come help out with like a training camp or something, I would probably be carrying the second heaviest bag, if he'd let me.
Yeah. And I've talked a little bit about this before, but I think our generation in training is definitely also responsible when the 23rd headmaster decided. The transition between a headmaster to a new headmaster is a really tough, hard, sometimes a little bit ugly, transition, when headmasters change. So I think that's probably, I really feel that that's going to be our last and biggest task as one of these instructors in the Ryuha, to try to keep everyone together through this really hard change, to 23rd, because that 23rd headmaster is going to be compared with the 22nd headmaster, Seki Sensei. And to be honest, if no one on this planet is going to be better than Seki Sensei, right? Yeah, but everyone has to call that new headmaster because Seki Sensei chose that person. We need to respect him or her or whoever it's going to be. And the community is going to almost fall apart when these things happen. But I think it's our last duty, our last responsibility to get everyone together.
Since martial arts is an art, you have to train a lot to get better. And I know, I'm a club leader now, but I know I only scratch the surface. The things are coming out now, and there's so much to learn. So I hope to continue to learn a lot, for sure. Yeah, it would also be nice, of course, if in the place where I live, when there would be more people. And the funny thing is that this starts happening because I found someone who is living quite near, and we could meet for a session maybe, with someone of the online lessons. Maybe I could even find a place like, this is a dream,
Yes, like, please.
Like a dojo of my own, or not of my own, but the dojo I can use not only a school gym, but a place. So at the moment, the school gym is perfect because it's cheap and you don't, it's a common place, but you don't have to pay a lot. It would be very nice to have an own place for Asayama Ichiden.
The last question is, what is the biggest lesson Seki Sensei has taught you?
The first one would be practice every day. If just a little bit, practice every day. That I think is so fundamental, and it applies to so many different things. You can apply that to anything in your life. Doing a little bit each day really helps you progress in a tangible way, and you can see that little by little you'll begin to get it. So I would say that one for sure. And then the other one, which I'm trying to get used to, is treat your sword, use it without reservation, but take care of it to the best of your ability. When I first started, I got an Iaito that was like super fancy and nice and cool and everything like that. And I brought it to the training camp. And when we had to do, the kata and you have to block, it hit the saya. And so the saya got a little, dented and everything like that. And I was just like, ah. And then Sensei was like, okay, well, that's not what we're doing here. We're so embracing that and finding a tool that fits you and using it unashamedly and unabashedly to do the techniques the way they're supposed to be done, and then taking care of it are probably the thing that I'm working on right now to include in my training. I was fortunate enough to get a new Iaito because mine was a little short from Kurosawa Sensei. With that new sword, I practiced and everything, and it's really had to it's really stretched me as far as my training is concerned, but it's been really good because it made everything more difficult. But at the same time, that's the purpose is to enhance your skill and work on Sayabiki and everything like that. And so due to that, I feel like I have gotten more out of the training And so that's the other thing that I would say, that both of those teachings have really kind of influenced my mind as far as how I approach training and what I think is important in the training.
You know, you probably remember this, but that episode of Seki Sensei, when he just recently started training under Seki Sensei, the 21st headmaster, he brought his Yaito too. Yeah, it was kind of like a new one, and they always trained outside. So Seki Sensei threw Seki Sensei's new Yaito into a puddle after a rainy day, and Seki Sensei was like, "Oh my God, there's so much dirt on the sky and all that kind of stuff." And then Seki Sensei said, "If you don't like that, go home. What do you think kobudo is about?" Is what he said behind him. Yeah, when he was taking the dirt off the sky and all that kind of stuff, yeah. And Seki Sensei himself too, you know, he once said in one of the videos, if you want your katana to be beautiful, just have it on the wall and admire it on the wall. You know, we're martial artists. We use the tools. Yeah, we're not here to admire them, appreciate them on the wall. It was a really, really strong message to me too when he explained to me about that, yeah.
This is one that I couldn't kind of come up with an answer for ahead of time. It's just the biggest lesson or lessons that he has taught me. It's one that kind of goes right through training to, if you wanted to, you could adapt it to your everyday life, as every movement should have at least two meanings, if not just maybe one for things outside of Asayama, Ichiden, Ryu. If you're going to take a move, if you're going to make a decision, again, you should know that why. You should know that reason. There should be a reason behind that move. And that's just kind of another concept to kind of blow your mind and go beyond just basic training. But I think, as odd as it sounds, not hopefully self-serving, but again, in one of those sessions where we were just kind of giving you some questions to ask him while they were in a hotel room before an event, something just made me say, if you could look out your window every morning and see a certain type of view, what would it be? I don't know if you remember that question. It was an odd one. I remember, yeah. Profound. That one also, just like it might have been the same session as the thing where you mentioned, you know, passing on the headmaster. I won't lie, that one brought tears in my eyes because he sat there for like what seemed like ages over just such a weird question. I'm like, you know, I wanted to get inside of his head and just understand, you know, what it's like to be Seki Sensei. I think I'm very prone to the Keiko kind of studying, like just trying to remember what they went through. I make my own training super difficult just to give it a shot at what they might have went through. Like Seki Sensei, Osaki Sensei training in the mountains. What did some of the other folks in history type of do? Like the second Enbu we ever had was like on January, I want to say 20th. It was 2024 probably. It was like 20 degrees out. So I opened my windows to let all the cold air in. And I think I did Yunde Nuki for the kata. Yeah. And I couldn't feel my hands. They were like stiff as rocks. And I still did a really good version of the kata. I'm like, all right, that was a win for me, because it was like I was able to put in a harsh environment on purpose, just to try to get in the mindset of that kind of thing. So sitting there watching Seki Sensei trying to honestly answer my question, which I don't know where it came from. I was just trying to get to know him a little bit more, and he just took it so seriously. Like, yeah, he did. He was not going to not have an answer for that question. It seemed like, I don't know, it could have been 5 straight minutes. But then he just said he didn't mind what kind of view, as long as there was like a big open, like a lot of it, like a high up valley or something like that. Yeah, he did. And then he was like, then he got suddenly somber, and he was just like, probably won't be able to have that, but it's fine because I'm happy that I dedicated my life to Budo. And I was just like, oh, right in the kokoro. Yeah. I can't even put that one into words. It was such a good moment. Mm-hmm. It was kind of heartbreaking. I guess bittersweet is a good thing, but it was just, again, knowing why you made that decision. And maybe it's full circle back to everything should have at least two meanings. He made a decision, and he had a reason why he made that decision, and he's completely fine with carrying that out for the rest of his life. The stuff that he's, the training he's gone through, that's probably the biggest lesson. A big reason why I want to help him get to that 7,000 students number. He's just so inspirational, and that's just, I want to take some of that. Like, I think I have a lot of that, but then there's parts of my life where I don't, and I'm just going to try to, once again, emulate Seki Sensei and go through those motions till I understand them, and then make them somewhat my own.
Yeah, I think it's a so far, because I guess there will be a lot more teachings in the future.
Absolutely.
But what really changed things for me was, the time when I prepared the third Dan exam. yeah, that was really tough because I knew it would be a very difficult exam. And I said, oh, I have to train a lot and I have to get better. And I just felt that I didn't really get better. You know, you train a lot and you have that feeling you don't get better. And then I had one check for a kata, and Seki Sensei said, well, Christian, you have to bring life to your kata. You know, he said that.
Yes,
You have to bring, because I said, well, what you do is correct, but there's, no life. Yeah. And I said, what the heck is he meaning?
yes.
By that, and but I felt he's right. There is something wrong with what I don't get it. It doesn't feel right. And after that class, I was really tired and I got really sick after it. I got a flu. I think it was necessary to get sick at that point in a way, because I had to do something with this information. I had to change something, and then I said, okay. The thing is, this is not about me. It is, I really have to imagine somebody that I'm, fighting with, Yeah, I really have to do it seriously, because if it was like 100 years ago, I would have had to fight for my life or something like that, And then I started really focusing not on myself, but on the one in front of me who wasn't really there. Yeah. Well, it changed the character of my technique. It wasn't so much about myself anymore, It was more about the technique and about the one in front of me who wasn't there. So that really changed a lot. I think it was the mindset or the vision that changed, and that changed my technique.
And now, a very important message from Seki Sensei to all students of Asayama Ichiden.
少しね心に留めておいてほしいことなんですけど、浅山一伝流は大げさに動くということね。でよく聞くと思うんですけど、東流はことごとく実践的でありみたいな解説をねよく耳にすると思うんですけど、私に言わせるとあれよくわからん話なんですよ。実践を考えてない流派なんて古武道である以上あるわけないんですよ。そこを考えた結果どういう稽古するかなんですよ。でそれがどういうふうに伝わってるか、そうと一伝流の場合は大げさに動いて気を入れるんじゃなく気を満たすと、全身にふわっと気を満たして大げさにふわっと動くと。でこれにはざっくり2つの理由がある。甲冑つけた時に手足じゃ動かないんですよ。で体力は消耗するしね。だから体重を使ってふわふわっと動くようにするっていうこと。それともう一つはそんな風にねこう心をくつろがせてふわっと大げさに動くと、そういう訓練をしてて現場で頭に血昇ってちょうどええって考えてるんです。だからその稽古そのあり方で演舞をした時にそれがよその流派の人にどのように映ろうが関係ないんですよ。むしろあの程度かと思われててちょうどええという思想があるんですよ。そういうことが伝わらないんですよ。今はやっぱねパフォーマンスに徹しちゃうんでね。ちょっと見栄えがしてね、キレッキレの方が良かったりね、拍手ももらえるしっていうなっちゃうんで、日本の古武道ってそんなもんじゃないんですよ本当は。そこをね少し気に留めておいていただけると一伝流が見えてくるんじゃないかなと思います。はい。
These days, flashy katana moves are trending on social media, and many styles feel the need to say things like, "We teach practical techniques" as part of their introduction, even though that should go without saying. At the same time, traditional schools like Asayama Ichiden are being criticized by some people, saying that kind of movement can't cut mats, or I don't even know what they're doing, and calling it not practical. But no matter what others say, students of Asayama Ichiden must never change techniques just to fit today's shallow modern viewpoints. Even if no one claps after a demonstration, even if people laugh and say, "That's it, that's all they can do," you must believe in the techniques and continue to protect them. That is the duty of kobudo, and it is the promise Seki Sensei made to the 21st headmaster, Seki Sensei. Only by keeping this in your head and continuing your training will you begin to truly understand what Asayama Shinryu is all about.
それによって今度同好会から支部に昇格していけるように頑張っていただけたらと。私もむやみじゃないんでね、ただポイポイ支部増やせばいいなんて思ってないので、やっぱりそこは進歩程度、それと人物っていうのは見させていただくのでね。はい。
Becoming a club leader or branch leader means you represent Asayama Shinryu. That means not only having solid technique, but also being someone others can look up to. Always remember, these titles are not rights, they are responsibilities. Please keep that in mind and continue your training with dedication. If you've enjoyed watching this video, please hit the like button and leave a comment to help this video reach more viewers. Our ultimate goal is to revive the golden age of Asayama Shinryu, where we had 7,000 students. Please join our online lessons to help us on this journey. We'll see you in the next video.
Interested in learning the ancient samurai techniques from the 22nd headmaster of Kobudo Asayama Shinryu, Seki Sensei? We hold online lessons with English interpretation that anyone can access worldwide. Every lesson will be recorded for you to rewatch anytime. Official down ranks will be provided to prove your progress. Higher down rank holders will be authorized to open their own dojo in the future. Join us in our ultimate dream of reviving the golden age of Asayama Shinryu when there were 7,000 students nationwide. Check out the description box or pinned comment to sign up now or for more information.